Welcome to our new series, The Body's Truth, The Inside Story. In this series, we are discovering a remarkable sensing instrument that is the body. Our body senses what is true or untrue at multiple levels. It also brings together many experiences from the past and the present, and it is always sending you wise messages. These messages reveal a wisdom from the deep, deep sea inside you. But you can only listen to your body when you have patience, clarity, and courage. Then let's begin.
Join spiritual psychologist and India's #1 biofeedback practitioner, Ritu Malhotra, as she guides you through the paths of self-discovery and personal transformation so that you can live in alignment with your values and purpose. This podcast is brought to you by Ajna Center for Learning. To know more about Ajna and connecting with the host, check out the links given in show notes. You are listening to the Cellular Alchemist podcast, and here's your host, Ritu Malhotra.
Reprogram the brain to create the life you want to live. Brain research in neuroscience says that we use less than 10% of our brain's full capacity. Yes, less than 10%. So can you even imagine that? It's like we have a mystery bank account that we've even forgotten we have. All that profit, currency, potential that we can begin to use as soon as we know how to. And that's my point. How can we learn to use the brain's stored memory and cash in on our latent potential? My answer is simple. By addressing and removing the negative emotional stress that blocks our profitable goals and desires. Where does this brain block live? It lives in a tiny pea-sized area above the left ear or the temporal lobe, which is the side of the brain. It's called the common integrative area. I know it sounds a little complicated, but let's do the abbreviation. CIA. It's just like the other CIA, the America CIA. It thinks it is protecting you from harm, when what it is actually doing is not allowing you to do anything that requires change, anything new. All it wants you to do is to do the same thing, the same way you have always done. It wants you to be consistent with whatever you believe to be true about yourself, what you think you can or cannot do. Like, I can't sing, or I can't do math. The things we say to ourselves all the time, and also believe about ourselves. So this part of the brain determines your capability and, of course, your future self as well. So actually, the CIA feels that it is protecting you from embarrassment or failure. Now, what's important to remember is that this is where your attitudes and your habits live. Let me give you an example. When you have a report to write, if your past experience tells you that you are not good at spelling or writing, then your brain instantly brings up the background movie, a replay of all the times you have tried your hand at spelling and writing and were not able to do a good job. Your brain says, see, I told you you couldn't do it. It's just not for you. Why don't you just give up? A lot of the time we give into that negative inner voice and fail to gather the motivation to go past it. I can share a similar client story I experienced a few days ago. A young 29-year-old came to see me and said that he had recently had a heart attack. Yes, at 29. He was a practicing chartered accountant and a trained business consultant. He had an impressive office in the wealthy part of town, but said that he was not able to generate the enthusiasm or motivation that he was required to go to work every day. He wasn't even able to make enough money to pay his bills and maintain that fancy office and the staff and the exorbitant rent. He was already deeply in debt to his father and had to keep borrowing money to keep his current lifestyle. During the session, we found that his father, a chartered accountant as well, expected him to be as successful as himself. He was reminded often of how much was spent on his very prestigious education abroad, that his father wanted only the best for his son and felt that with all his elite connections, he should have no problem scaling the heights, socially and financially, just the way his father had. But the young man really saw himself differently. He saw himself working with a rural NGO, helping underprivileged women earn a better livelihood for themselves. He wanted to live close to the village and live a simple, uncomplicated life, dedicating himself to a smaller community and just a simple life. So the son wasn't following his own dream. He was trying to live up to his father's expectations. Now, with the help of a technique of age recession, which I use in my sessions, where you go back in your time track and reprogram the past negative beliefs, he was able to recognize and release the stress and the effort it took to please his father. And he was able to take back the direction over his own life. He moved away from the big city and started his work with the village community. With much less stress in his life, he could live out his dream, and that was success for him. When we revisit the past, not relive it necessarily, we can identify the stress issue, the specific event, and the age it occurred. And we can diffuse the stressful emotions that are attached to that event. Yes, it's possible to do, and painlessly and permanently as well. It is possible to accept yourself and own your integrity, which gives you the power to alter your future. Come, give it a shot. It's worth it.
That was this week's episode for the Cellular Alchemist podcast with spiritual psychologist Ritu Malhotra. Don't forget to follow the podcast and join us next week for yet another episode. Thank you for listening.